Programming is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City designed to inspire natural and relaxed living with a dash of southern charm. The Sweet Bay community features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and much more. It's got all the makings of a friendly neighborhood with everything you need, just a short walk away. For more information about the Sweet Bay community, call 844-35-SWEET or go online to sweetbayfl.com.
This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College digital media program here. Want to thank the fine folks at Sweet Bay for underwriting Coach's Corner this year. So, got Coach Jay Powell with me. We're going to talk about how the Commodores did. They played a lot of games since the last Coach's Corner, and we got a lot to go over. 8-1 overall, ranked number 9 in the state coaches poll. Points per game right now averaging 73.9, field goal percentage 45.3, 3-point percentage 29.4, free throw percentage 68.3, rebounds per game 34.6, and 13 assists per game. That's how the Commodores are doing on paper. But you have played a bunch of games since we had the last game.
We did. We had first 7 games were played in a 12-day span. Did take the liberty to look that up. And in just one of the NBA teams, for example, they only have one stretch in their entire season where they play 9 games in 14 days. But then everything else is less than our 7 and 12. And they're just worried about basketball and healing up, getting ready for their next basketball game every day as opposed to school and things of that nature. So very, very pleased and proud of the way the men handled that. We've gotten off to a very good start, as you mentioned. So we'll see where it goes. We have 3 games this week, and hopefully we'll be successful in those as well. But, you know, as we're going to, we can cover each game briefly and kind of recap each one.
Go back up. And so we played Coastal Alabama on the 14th, won 87-69. First half 38-33, second half 49-36 for a total of 87-69. 4 of the 5 starters in double figures that night, Coach.
Fairly balanced game. It was our first time to go over and play there in Bay Minette. So I was very pleased and happy that the men handled that well. We were able to come away with an 18-point road win, which is difficult to do. And they had a good crowd. Their baseball team, softball team were in it, and they had a good little crowd from local adults too. So for us to go over there and get that win, get back home on a Tuesday night like we did, very pleased with the guys.
So if we look at that, Will Robertson with 14, Kylie with 12, McGregor with 10, Smith with a double-double, had 11 points, 13 boards for you that night. And then off the bench, Adams and Gibson had 14 and 15 points. So nice scoring night for the Commodores.
Yes, we did, and I think at the end of that game we had kind of worn them down. We had played them 1 week before at home, and I think we were able, even though we were the road team and had just gotten off a 3 hour and 10-minute bus ride, I think we were able to get into their legs a little bit and pull away there at the end, because it was a 10, 12-point game most of the second half. They hung with us pretty well.
So, and then we played Enterprise State on the 16th, 177-63, 39-31 first half, 38-32 second half for a 77-63 victory. Another nice win, Coach.
Yeah, when they came over that Thursday night, they started off with a 6-0 run to start the game, and we knew that they meant business. They were going to give us everything that they had that night. And we play them again in the middle of December at their place, so it'll be a different atmosphere and a different game then. But the men stayed calm, and we had a timeout, and we regrouped, and we were able to play well for the most part the rest of that game, come away with a double-digit victory. Still didn't feel like, and to this point I haven't yet felt like we have shot the ball as well as we're going to need to and as well as we're capable of shooting it. But the men just kind of stay calm, and they've stayed the course and played well enough and been tough enough in order for us to get victories, and so that's a really good sign.
So all 5 starters in double figures for you that night.
Starters were in double figures. They cut it to 8 points in the towards the end of the game with about 3 minutes left, and they had some momentum. Daniel Kiley at the end of that game twisted his knee with a light MCL sprain after the MRI is what that's been diagnosed as, and also with a bone bruise there in his joint. And so we were able to get that win and feel good about it. That was our second game in 3 days, but then we also played Friday and Saturday, and we had to play without Daniel, who had solidified himself as our starting point guard and had done really well. So that threw us off a little the next 2 days, as opposed to just having a man down, being a man down when you're looking at playing 4 games in a 5-day span. But we were glad that we were able to come away with that win against Enterprise State.
And you talk about him, he had 15 points. McGregor had 15. Robertson with 12. Smith with 11. And Wade with 10. So anytime you have all 5 starters in double figures, it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, we like it when it's balanced.
So then we played the 16th ranked team in the country, San Jac, lost 75-54. They won 31-19 and 44-35 second half for a total of 75-54. A tough night against a very good team, though.
Yeah, they're a good team. Definitely don't want to take anything away from them. Offensively, we just really struggled. Defensively, they played well. Want to make sure I say that and give them all due respect. But not having Daniel for the first time, being the third game in 4 days, we just didn't handle it well. And our spacing was bad. They played us a lot of zone, and so we didn't exactly attack the zone in gaps and weak spots in it the way that we've gotten better at in these last few games. But it was a good experience for us, and you're not going to win them all, so it was good to on this end of it. It was good to go ahead and get a taste of that, and it seems like the men didn't like it, and then they came back the next day. We played Spartanburg Methodist, who was I think number 21 in the nation at that time, and we came back on Saturday and had a good win.
And so when we go back to San Jac game briefly, only two players in double figures. Robertson with 23 and Gibson with 11. So
yeah, we only scored 54 total, so not it would have been really hard for all 5 starters to be in double digits. But we ended up coming back on Saturday and getting a good win against number 21 Spartanburg Methodist, who's a good team, and they have some nice players. And the guys showed a lot of resilience in that game. We played against the zone in that Spartanburg Methodist game. We didn't shoot it well from the perimeter, but you have the numbers highlighted, but big shot at the end by Miles McGregor. We were able to bring the ball across half court at the end of overtime, set up a play. They took away the first couple of options. We just needed a bucket, or if we got fouled, needed to make 1 free throw to win the game there in that last possession against Spartanburg Methodist. But they took those away, and Ty Gibson made a great pass to Miles McGregor, who was open, caught the ball cleanly, stepped right into his shot, and knocked it down to give us that 3-point win on Saturday.
And if we look at scoring for that game, 33-26, so they were up at halftime. And then Gulf Coast come back and 31-24. The most important one you won was 12-9 in overtime, in an overtime victory to give you a 69-66 win. 4 players in double figures, 2 of them had double-doubles. Will Robertson with 17 points, 12 rebounds. Smith with 13 points, 10 rebounds. McGregor with 15 points. You already talked about the big bucket he made. And Gibson with 12.
Yeah. Overall, nice game for us. Defensively, they like to score the ball, so defensively holding them to 66 in overtime was good. And so very pleased with that. And then after that game being the 4th game of the week, 4th game in 5 days technically, we were able to kind of just breathe for a second. We hadn't felt like we had been able to breathe for about a week. So that was good, and we were able to get ready for the Thanksgiving holiday. Thanks to visitpanamacitybeach.com, we were able to host our Classic again this year, and we were able to play 2 very good teams. So we're moving into the Polk State game. Their record wasn't that good coming into our game, but they had played nothing but Florida junior colleges and good Florida junior colleges. They had beaten a good Santa Fe team on Tuesday night before we played them on Thursday. So I knew that we were going to have to play well to win, and the men came out after having a big Thanksgiving lunch here on campus, and we were able to get a good win on Thursday.
And so we talk about that game. At the end of the half, it was 38-32, so Polk was up, and then Commodores come back and scored 28-19 for a 60-57 win there. Only starter was Gibson with 11, and Adams off the bench scored 12 for you, only double points.
Yeah, you know, with being a low-scoring game, we're not going to have many double-digit scores just by the simple fact of that's the way numbers work. But defensively, we really stepped up, and we did some nice things. We played a lot of zone against Polk. We saw some things that we thought might work well against them, and it did. And so it slowed the game down, made the game a little bit lower scoring than normal for a junior college game. But they did a good job of being disciplined and working the ball around. Then in the second half, I would say there were 4 possessions that we scored in the last 5 seconds on the shot clock. So men did a good job of being patient, moving the ball better. Tremendous growth from on Friday against San Jack to on Thursday against Polk State, going against the zone defense. So very pleased with that Polk State win, and by the end of the season, that's going to look like an even better win than it does now.
So and then we on the 25th played Walter State, another overtime game. It was 40-36 at the end of the first half, 33-29 Walter State. Here again, won in overtime, 10-7 for a 79-76 victory over Walter State.
A very good team, very proud program. They're, you know, the top dog in the state of Tennessee every year, and they've enjoyed coming down to our holiday classic, our Thanksgiving classic, at least for 10 of the 11 years I've been here. You know, and it's one of those things where it's been good for us to prepare for conference to play a very talented team like them year in, year out. We've been fortunate to win 9 out of the 10 times that we've played Walter State because, like I said, they go to the national tournament regularly, and they're the best program in the state of Tennessee. So the men stayed together. We didn't play well, we would play well. We didn't play well, we would play well. We didn't shoot it well from the perimeter overall. But for the second time in 3 games, Miles McGregor, now it wasn't at the buzzer, or right before the buzzer, like the Spartanburg Methodist game, but we get into overtime, or to get us into overtime, we're able to draw up a play, and Quadre Smith gets the ball in the paint, makes a nice jump hook to force overtime. Then in overtime, Miles McGregor, with less than a minute left, knocks down a 3-pointer to put us up for good at that point. So 2 out of 3 games, Miles hit the game-winning shot. So we're proud of him for that and hope he's enjoyed those experiences.
Well, that's the only points he had of the game. So to come in, you know, after being cold and knock that shot down, you talked about Smith with a double-double with 20 points and 13 rebounds. Will Robertson with a good night with 23 points. Wade with 15 points, and Gibson with 12. So good games from those young men also.
Yeah, it was a fun game, a good competitive game, 2 good teams. You know, I'm glad that the better team won, and that we were able to get out of there with a victory on Saturday.
And so now, got 3 games between now and the next Coach's Corner. You'll play Tuesday. You're going to play L.B. Wallace. What do you expect, Coach?
They're a good little team. We're going to have a size advantage on them, but their guards shoot it well, and they're very quick. And so we'll have to see how we respond to that. We're going to be without Daniel Kiley again. So I'm really looking forward to when we can have him back and have him back full speed. We've played several games without him. But L.B. Wallace will be good. It's going to be tough to play at their place after being on the road a few hours to get over there. But it's fun to play a women's-men's doubleheader early in the season like we're going to get to. And then we will go up to Marianna Friday evening to play a great Georgia Highlands team. Excuse me.
It's actually ranked number 18 in the country right now.
It's ranked number 18. And then on Saturday we play Lawson State out of Alabama. So tough 3 games this week. Looking forward to playing them and hope that we keep on winning.
So we're out of time, Coach. So for Coach Jay Powell, Commodore fans, I'll be right back with Coach Scovel and talk about how the Lady Commodores did.
Programming is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City designed to inspire natural and relaxed living with a dash of southern charm. The Sweet Bay community features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and much more. It's got all the makings of a friendly neighborhood with everything you need, just a short walk away. For more information about the Sweet Bay community, call 844-35-SWEET or go online to sweetbayfl.com.
Commodore fans, Coach Scovel and I are going to talk about how the Lady Commodores did this past week and what's coming up. Lady Commodores 5-0 overall, number 1 in the state coaches poll, number 1 in the NJCAA national poll. Right now, averaging, Coach, 80 points a game, 42.1% percentage for field goal percentage, 3-point percentage at 27.1, free throw percentage 71.2, rebounds per game 39.6, and assists per game 16.4. So that's 5 games in, still undefeated, and played some big games.
Yeah, this past weekend, Walter State, of course, always makes it to the national tournament, and I like their men's counterpart. They always represent Tennessee at the national tournament. They're ranked, I think, number 11 in the country or somewhere there, and they have a really nice team. And then Rome State always is very fundamental. So it was a good weekend.
It was a good weekend. So we went and played Rome State start with. 169-40, 26-10 first quarter, 10-10 second quarter, 17-6 third quarter, and 16-14 the fourth quarter for a total of 69-40. Two Lady Commodores in double figures with Bennett and Dunlap. Good to have Bennett back.
Absolutely, she looked good, and I just have to get some play. This is the first time we've had a lineup that we kind of projected in the beginning. So, we've had so many jumbled lineups. It's been kind of hard to get the pieces together and get them feeling good about each other and understanding each other, what they do, their strengths and weaknesses. And so, kind of nice to get Stu and Shayla in the game and playing significant minutes. And of course, Shayla shot the ball, didn't shoot extremely well, but still led us in scoring, her and Dunlap. And so hopefully, we got to get a few more games under our belt, and thank goodness they get to be back to where we're not having to jump out there in January and try to put them in there at the last minute and compete in Panhandle play.
So, like you said, with Bennett back with 17, those are and Dunlap, 2 returners from last year. And in that Panhandle Conference race, they're going to have to carry a lot of that load.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on them now. Their role last year was kind of be a role player. This year it's to be the leaders, and they're going to get double teamed, and they're going to, so they've got a lot more pressure on them, and they're going to have to perform with a lot more double teams and a lot more pressure as leaders. So they're having to kind of get uncomfortable in their own skin to play these roles. But we're a work in progress, and thankfully we're winning, even though it doesn't look pretty. We're winning.
Yeah. Well, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rather be in our locker room than the opponent. Yeah.
In that case, so we did turn the ball over 18 times.
We in the first game, we played a lot of people, and you just can't play, 11 people and jumble the lineup and it be smooth.
And smooth through there.
So probably 18 turnovers is pretty good for the lineups that we kept jumbling in.
For the number of players that got in. So we were 5-23 from the free throw line, 4-27 from the three-point line, and 25-69 from the floor. So
to win by 29 and shoot that poorly, that's a good victory because we shot the ball very, very poorly.
And especially with all the players getting minutes, because you never know when they might have to come off that bench and give something.
Got to be a spark plug, right?
And so nice win there. And now, when we talk about Walter State, like you said, ranked number 11 in the country, they make it to the national tournament all the time. And Lady Commodores won 57-51. Lady Commodores in the first quarter come out 13-16. Walter State come out in the second quarter 15-9, which means Lady Commodores were down by 3 when y'all went into the locker room.
We were down 3 at halftime, and Walter State's got a great team, and advantage to them with what we were trying to do and getting new people in, like we say, Stu. We were just hoping to just give her some minutes to get used to the game, but she ended up having to play about 35 minutes. And, so it was just nip and tuck. They got good athletes. They do good things. And we're still, like we say, we're a work in progress and have to get this thing figured out. But we're kind of running out of time. So, but with Stu and Shayla, that was their first 2 games of the season. For Stu, it was her first bit of competition in 4 months. She's been sitting out that long. And first game in America, and first time to getting to have physical contact. So, you know, to be able to just come out of a victory against a very good team was tremendous.
Especially a team that's nationally ranked, and
Absolutely.
it's always there.
Absolutely.
The third quarter, Lady Commodores 20-14, and then the fourth quarter it was 12-9 for that victory. You 3 Lady Commodores double figures with Dunlap and Bennett and Jeter.
Yep.
They had 17, 13, and 16, and Bennett played 40 minutes.
Yeah, she played 40. We didn't get much. This was one of those games where all the newcomers didn't understand that, you know, when it's a close game, you got to come in and you got to give us minutes, you got to give us production. You don't have a 20 or 30 point lead where you can make a few mistakes. So in this particular game, we played very few people and they had to play a lot of minutes. So, you know, that was a good sign that we could hold out because we had to make some big plays at the end and people had to step up. And so that was kind of a game that was a lot Panhandle-like. And we say like the big three with Jeter and Dunlap and Shayla Bennett. That was kind of a game that I had in my mind should be happening every game. Of course, Shayla, like we say, we just got her back. So as we move down the stretch, those three are going to have to be a big three. And then hopefully Ostu can kind of step in there and give us a nice look once she gets comfortable and quits playing scared.
And she played 34 minutes.
Yeah, Ostu played way too many minutes, you know, but we just did what we had to do to win.
So now Lady Commodores only turned the ball over 7 times, but when you shorten that bench, it affects those turnovers.
Absolutely. You figure out what each other can do, and that helps when you're not jumbling lineups. But now we needed to jumble it a little bit more because we needed some rest. The good thing was we got to play a lot of people the night before. To play back-to-back like that, and if we could only have played 5 or 6 both nights, it would have been real tough to win that second night. So that was on my mind on Friday, so I did play a lot of people thinking that we might have to save our legs, and I wasn't expecting to only really play 5 people, but, you know, 5.5, but, you know, it worked.
That worked and got us through that, and that's what great coaching does.
Well, I don't know about that. We just had players that stepped up when they needed to, and they made great plays, so great players can make coaches look pretty good.
So, from the free throw line, 11 of 16, 4 of 18 from the three-point line, and 21 of 62 from the floor. So.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do on that shooting, and we spent a lot. We got up there, we went to the gym 3 different times, and we still struggled. So we have a lot of work to do with shooting the ball with confidence and shooting the right shot, you know, being selective on what we're trying to do, how we do it, when we do it, why we do it. We don't have those pieces figured out, but we have, you know, basically a brand new team, so it's going to take some time. But again, we're running out of time.
But still winning ball games. So, so if we look at that, now we have 2 games. You're going to travel over to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
For 2 big games against Broward and Palm Beach. What do we expect there, Coach?
Well, that's the JUCO shootout, and Broward's had some good wins, and Palm Beach has always been pretty good. They've had a coaching change, so I'm expecting both of those games to be more like what we've had, and going to be athletic, going to be fundamental, going to try to break us down and make us play, you know, the whole shot clock. So we're going to have to go, and you know, these pieces are going to have to fit a little better as we move along.
So, and you'll play. Will you travel over?
We're going to go the same day. You know, we've had some things with budgets and trying to make things work out, what's best for the program and the department, and then so we'll go ahead and drive over Friday morning, and they can sleep on the way and get there soon enough to get our legs back, and hopefully that won't be a factor, but, you know, you do what you have to do.
And then you're going to play at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and then turn around and have to play again at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
We did the same thing last weekend. We actually played at 6 and 12, so, you know, that'll be fine as long as we don't have to play, you know, 5 people in that first game. It'll be hard on the second day, but hopefully we'll go, and I think we're getting a little more excited. You know, we had a 14-day layoff before we went on this last trip. So to be able to play tomorrow night and then go Friday, I'm hoping, I'm optimistic that things will get a little smoother as we move along.
So, and then have 2 major players back.
Right.
Is big in there too. So we talked about games. Let's look quickly at the Panhandle Conference and how teams are doing. You got Pensacola State 10-0 right now.
Yeah, again, they got good guards, quick, play real hard, relentless. So yeah, they've done well so far.
So Northwest Florida 8-0.
Yeah, they're scoring a lot of points. Bart's kind of got them going. Very disciplined, very fundamental. So they look good. And then Tallahassee's just breaking records every night out, just about.
6-0. So Gulf Coast 5-0, and Chipola surprisingly 6-3.
Well, they've
Dropped
had some
one to
hiccups,
Miami
but
Dade.
as you watch them, they got a lot of new players too. And in the last couple of games, that was their. If you looked at their shooting, they didn't hit shots, kind of like us. They didn't hit shots early on and had that hiccup. But the last couple of games, it's been in the 80s and the 90s. So I would foresee that Greg's going to get them. It looks like they're moving in the right direction.
So they moving back, and and from the Panhandle Conference rule change this year, only 2 move
Only
on.
2 going, right?
And out of a 5, when you look at that, it's like wow.
Yeah.
This year we go twice to Chipola and twice to Northwest Florida. I guess. And this year it really wouldn't matter because you got Tallahassee and Pensacola both playing well too.
Yeah, playing well. We can look at that all the time, and it doesn't matter. Usually when we look at that, whoever's got the strongest team that particular year, it seems like we have to go to their place twice. But it is what it is. It's all the same playing court. We all have to do the same thing and rotate the years out. So we're getting ready, and Panhandle play is close. It's time, and we got a few more games to try to polish some things, get better at some things, and then it's going to be upon us.
Yeah, because it's going to be here, and but you still have several games in December to work on that piece of it, and some big games.
Oh yeah, Shelton State and South Georgia Tech. Those will be huge after the holidays. But all of them are big. When you have a brand new team like we do, every game is big. No matter what the opponent looks like or whether they're ranked or not ranked. Every game is big when you have a new team.
And then when you put a Gulf Coast jersey on.
Yeah, that makes it even bigger.
That's a huge target.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody wants to beat Gulf Coast.
Absolutely.
So in other words, when you put that on there, and you talk about Shelton State.
Yeah,
very nice program.
Absolutely.
And that will be a big game. It's a shame it's out of town.
Yeah, I wish it was here, but it'll be an exciting one. It'll be for Shelton. I'm not sure it'll be significant to them because they'll probably be in Lubbock, but it could be very, very significant to us. It's important, even though we're talking about the top 2 in the Panhandle, you still have those at-large bids. So that's what we talk about our players is you have to make sure that you take care of business in these games that could come back to haunt you. That happened to Chipola a couple years. A loss to Daytona early in the season probably got them, to where they had to stay home in the national tournament a couple years ago. So these early preseason, pre-conference games are huge when you look at the big picture and the at-large bids. And
especially when you factor that in because, they're going to select from that and they're going to look at every game.
They're going to look at every game.
And so, and I didn't think about it till you just mentioned it. They look at it. Now, they do a nice job at selecting teams for those.
They do a good job. The unique piece this year is you could not go to your region tournament and you could still apply for an at-large bid because when we look at this thing, when only 2 of the Panhandle teams are going to go, there's still going to be a third Panhandle team that's good enough to go to the national tournament. So Ramsey Ross and I were talking about that you might not go to the region tournament, but you might have a chance to go to the national tournament if your body of work is good enough.
Well, in the respect the Panhandle Conference has, they have to honor that.
Right.
Because Lady Commodores have won back-to-back national championships. The year before that was Chipola. So the last 3 years have been won by a Panhandle Conference.
Panhandle Conference. So it's a factor. So you have to. You can't say, just wait till conference play. You have to. Every game that you play could be a deciding factor for postseason play.
So, well, Coach, we about talked up our time. So for Coach Rooney Scovel, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
Thank you. Back in the car.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.